All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. This week we're going over Stage 3, White Clay Lake, presented by GoPro.
So Stage 3, it's been a couple nice weeks off for me. I know, Miles, you've been doing a little bit of fishing here.
Yep, I fished the two-day Madison, or it was the Badger Bass Open, put on by the University of Wisconsin-Madison, their fishing team. Never fished that system before. I went down to pre-fish Thursday, tournament was Saturday, figured some things out. Was middle of the pack after Saturday, but we had some stuff happen. We weren't able to fish the second day, unfortunately, but caught some good fish. Pretty cool place.
Nice, awesome.
Fun couple days.
Yeah, and I've been trying to get up a little bit on the editing and stuff for our fans and stuff. So you guys have seen a couple of clips on social media from some past stages and stuff. So we're trying to get that out to you as quick as we can. But we're here to talk about Stage 3 here for White Clay Lake. This one is presented by GoPro. This is the only way we're able to film all this stuff and be able to show you guys is from these lovely cameras right here. We have the GoPro Hero 4. They're about on the 10 right now, so we're a little bit behind on the models that they have out, but these things do the job.
Still have amazing quality, great sound.
Exactly, they get great footage, and we've been having fun with it. And those are paired up with the YOLO Tech power sticks that keep those powered all day long. So we're kind of gonna talk about Stage 2 again first. As you can see from the graphic here, sadly I lost again. But Miles, talk a little bit about your day on Elkhart Lake. This is your first time fishing, or this was your first time fishing Elkhart Lake, so talk about that.
So I had never been to this place before. All I knew was that it was really deep, really clear, and it had both largemouth and smallmouth. So I didn't have much of a game plan, honestly, going into it. I had looked on maps, checked the contour maps on my graphs, saw there was a deep point right next to a bay going into like a spawning flat. So I started there, I caught some shorts, and caught a ton of fish that day, but the size, I struggled finding legal fish that day.
Yeah.
But I was able to get some stuff rolling, and then eventually I think I caught one short flipping a dock, or no, it was barely legal.
Yeah, barely.
It was like 14 and a quarter inch largemouth.
Still legal.
Caught that one legal. And I was working the bank, fishing I was drop shotting the first drop off. Came across some smallies that way, bounced to the other side of the lake, where I found some calmer water. Ended up caught a nice, what is that, about 3 pounds? It was
I believe so.
largemouth that was up there. I caught that one flipping a dock. That one was pre-spawn. And then I continued fishing that first drop off, that last staging area before the fish go up to spawn. And I ended up catching a couple and finished off my limit with some nice smallmouth.
There you go. And he was talking about they were pre-spawning, they were also spawning, and a couple of them possibly post-spawn.
Yeah. So like this smallie up there that's in that picture, that one was actually post-spawn.
Yeah. You can see they are definitely skinny. There's I believe the largemouth, was that spawn or was that pre-spawn?
Largemouth was pre-spawn.
Okay. So you can see he was a little bit fatter, but that smallie is skinny.
Yeah.
That is,
and all of my smallies were that way. They were all post-spawn. So I think it was kind of that bass or largemouth, because when the bass spawn, the smallmouth spawn first.
Yeah.
So I think those smallies, they were done. They were pushing back out deep, and they were on that first staging area, making their way out. And those largemouth, they were on their last staging area, getting ready to spawn. So they were kind of mixed up and schooled up together.
Now, it's been a very, very interesting spring we've had. The first couple days of spring we had 90-degree days straight, and that was the week before Lower Red?
First week of May.
Yeah,
yep.
So it was the week before Lower Red. We had 3 or 4 90-degree days, and it was just like rocketing sky-high temps for water temps, and you had a bunch of fish that pushed up, did their business, spawned, and we had thought at the time that they had all spawned out completely, so then we were all looking for post-spawners. What I came to realize at Elkhart Lake, I started working some banks and fishing and throwing a swim jig a little bit, and got bit a couple times. Didn't get much going there. I actually had to go to the bathroom. I wasn't feeling too great, but after that, I kind of worked up where Miles was going and worked on that same exact point. Saw a bunch of them up nice and shallow, and then I went up into what's called Turtle Bay up in Elkhart Lake, and they were just spawning their heads off.
Yeah,
So,
we were actually watching these fish spawn. It was pretty wild to see.
So I worked up in there and then saw that they were there, and I'm like, okay, this is like my last resort game plan. I'll hit this if everything goes sideways or whatever. Then I worked up some docks. Literally, I was following you. I wasn't trying to follow you. And you might see from the footage, you're going to see me following him a lot, but these lakes are small, so we're going to see each other.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
There's a couple of times where I'm following Trevor around.
So, but I ended up following him up along some docks. I caught my first short fish, like, I don't know, 2-3 hours into it. Didn't see much else going on over there, so then I tried to battle some wind, and I lost all power in my battery for my trolling motor. And so then that's the point where everything goes sideways. And so I had to hop back up into Turtle Bay. Ended up catching oh my gosh, I cannot speak today. It is not going good. But nonetheless, I caught one legal fish. It was 3 pounds 11 ounces up in that bay area, and it was a great fish. But other than that, it was tough because I had a bad boat with the trolling motor. So that kind of leads into our next segment on what's going on with our boats, because it has been a rough year.
Yeah, so, like I said, due to mechanical difficulties, my buddy and I, that goes to school down there, we weren't able to fish day 2 because we made a real long run. We went from we launched out of Monona, and we went through the river, locked up into Mendota, and ran all the way to the river up there.
Quite the long run.
So I haven't mapped it out, but I'm sure it was quite the run. We ended up running up to there, and then we ended up making another long run to the far west side of Mendota, and this is almost an 11,000 acre lake. So we ended up making that run, finished off our limit with one that was just shy of 4 pounds, and then we ended up we given ourselves an hour and 10 minutes, I think it was, to get back for weigh-ins, and I go to turn the key and click. So I actually just got word back from the mechanic today. Ended up having 2 bad grounds in the starter and a blown pinion gear. So
not good.
No, so
and very expensive.
Yeah, and then I ended up having 2 blown tires also this weekend. So
very expensive weekend for you.
Yeah. A lot more expensive than I had planned.
Yeah, and the other big part that you would like to talk about, your good old transom.
Yeah. I sent her a little too hard on Castle Rock pre-fishing for a club tournament, and ended up messed up the gel coat on the transom. So not too thrilled about that, but
just a bit too hard.
A little bit.
Yeah, but you've had your fair share of problems, and
so
like
you have too.
I know. Don't tell me about it. So, on stage 1, and you guys are gonna see this in the episode. I'm driving to make my final run up to try to hit back that bank that I was doing all day long, and all of a sudden my engine redlines, and at the time I had no clue what went on. Once I watched the footage, I watched my shift the shift lever or whatever. It kicked back the throttle. Thank you. Yes, words are not coming out of my mouth today. But nonetheless, my throttle kicked back without me even touching it, and it kicked right back into neutral. And I was like, what is going on? And then after that, I couldn't shift it anymore without it redlining. Took it into a boat shop. Apparently the spline, when you take off your lower unit, you got that big metal rod. All those gears were stripped, so completely trashed, which I had to get replaced or whatever. That was expensive as well. And then
noted, if you want to save money, don't own a boat.
That's a good point. You could also end up like this poor fella right here. But yeah, and then my battery has been acting up a little bit. That's because I really haven't charged it all that much. So I tested it out. I think it's gonna run good. But we've had our fair share of problems for the first part of the season. But with that, we're gonna send it here at White Clay Lake this upcoming Sunday here. This is White Clay Lake. It's up in Cecil, Wisconsin. This is obviously a general map of it. But let's take a little bit of a look at the info about it. It's in Shawano County. It's 236 acres, so right around in that mid-range of what we've been fishing. I think our first one is 242. Our second one was 296 for acres, and now we're at 236. So going back down a little bit. And then its max depth is 46 feet, but you can usually see it drop off in different places. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so the contours, it's a pretty big bowl, honestly, but as you can see on the northeast side of the lake, there's a big flat and it drops off. Otherwise, it's a pretty steep lake.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of reeds and bulrushes, that sort of stuff along it.
Yeah.
But a lot of times those reeds are in like anywhere from 4 to 6 feet of water, so it's pretty deep. But you can flip a lot of that. Swim jigs, I don't know why I struggle getting topwater bites out there, but swim jigs and flipping are my two go-tos on that lake, just with the depth and the way the reeds line set up and everything. So.
And it's all floating vegetation. And what we actually found out, we went up there. What was it, last week? Monday.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Okay, so I'm really just out in left field here today. But so we went out, pre-fished it, and what we realized that last year we had this certain setup, I guess you could say, on the lake. It was all these cutlet channels that I mainly fished. You mainly worked the west side of the lake on those banks. But all those big floating bogs moved all over to the left because of the wind.
And so, we had actually seen one of these break off and float all the way across the middle of the lake one day.
Straight in the middle.
Yeah, we thought it was a boat, and then got a little closer to it and realized that it was a chunk of the bog that had broken off.
So it's definitely changed things up, and it's going to change things up. We don't know if that's going to be the same layout as when we get there, so it's going to be interesting. So the fish in there, we got largemouth bass. Obviously, that's what we're going for, so that's a good thing they're in there. Panfish, I know this lake is really well known for panfish.
Yeah, there are some giant bluegills and big crappies in this lake.
Nice. And then you will always get the occasional pike. I know I caught more pike last year than I did bass, so that was one of my problems there. And then walleye. Walleye are in there. And tell us about your walleye story.
So we ended up, when Trevor and I were up there 2 weeks ago, we ended up having, we were struggling getting bass going, and we had both been fishing hard for the past couple days, so we were like, hey, we were kind of almost in a burnout stage, and we just decided to go deep. We were fishing some grass in like 9 feet with crankbaits, and pretty early on we had one hit, and we're like, oh, awesome, there's a fish. Get it up, it ends up being a 21-inch walleye, and shortly after we caught a 20-inch walleye, so there's some good walleye in there, and they have, I believe it's a three fish limit at 18 inches. So
yeah, and sadly I made him toss one of the walleye back because
I measured wrong on the tape.
My tape had about a 2-inch gap before it started, and he measured I think 16, 17, and Miles was like, this hurts to throw this back, but fish live to see another day, so it is what it is. But there are definitely some good walleye in there, so maybe we'll hook into one of those and get a little dinner, as we always say. All right, so you talked about it a little bit before, but what to expect? We got patterns, temps, baits, and size of fish to expect.
Yeah, so I kind of went over the patterns already. A lot of flipping, a lot of swim jigs. Might see some topwater, frogs, and that sort of stuff. But temps, like Trevor said, they skyrocketed, then they kind of bottomed out, gone back to normal, and past probably 2.5 weeks, we've seen temps in the starting the days between 62, 63, and finishing off the days around 67, 68. So pretty normal for this time of year. Possible, what we've seen second waves coming in.
Yeah.
When I was fishing Madison Chain this past weekend, I caught 2 fish that were both close to 4, and they were staging on that they were in like 6 feet of water, staging on that last grass line before making that final push to spawn, and they were both post-spawn or pre-spawners, my bad. So we're seeing second waves of fish coming up to spawn right now. So
and when we went out there and pre-fished, we actually caught a lot of pre-spawners.
Yeah, we did catch quite a few of them that were pre-spawn. Caught a few post-spawners too. So it's a funky time of year, funky spring in general though. So
you got that right.
It's those temps where we can run into all 3 pre-spawn, post-spawn, and spawners. So
yeah, I wouldn't have expected to be doing that. Looking for spawning fish in the start of June or whatever. But it is what it is. You work with the weather, and we'll hopefully can whack them. I think this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, hopefully. And then there's pretty decent size in there. When we fished it last time, I had right around a 2.5 pound average.
Yeah.
But I've seen them up to 4 pounds taken out of there. I've heard stories of giants caught out of this lake. How true they are, I don't know, but I've heard stories of giants weighed in.
There's the elusive 9-pound bass that we're all seeking, is what you said. So we'll see if that comes up. That would definitely be a great thing to have on the camera, for sure. But to keep up with all of our social media, like I said, I'm trying to keep up with posting some of the videos and some catches and stuff from the past stages. So you're going to see a lot of that on Instagram, Facebook, and then TikTok is where you're going to see the majority of that. And then for Out on the Water, talk about what we do.
Yeah, so we end up posting Instagram live stories and then Facebook stories as well throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are able to keep up with our tournament date.
And I'm actually pretty happy that you actually did it this past tournament.
I remembered.
First one, he was a little bit, worried about having to get his armpit hair waxed off with duct tape. So he wasn't really on top of the stories, but he was having a little bit more of a fun day out on Elkhart and actually posted a lot of stories. So you'll be able to see all those stories and keep up with that. But then again, all of the podcasts and then the episodes that will come out later on in the year are going to be on YouTube, as well as some of the really great catches that we can post up there. And then if you guys have any questions, send us an email, shoot us a DM, anything like that, and we'll get back to you on that. So with that, let's close it out here. We're looking forward to a great time on June 12th at White Clay Lake. Do you have anything else?
Nope.
All right.
Look forward to fishing it and excited for you guys to follow along.
Absolutely. Well, stay tuned. We'll see you guys out there on the water for an early morning. And, I guess cheer us on.